Welcome back, beautiful soul, to the Art of Aging Backwards podcast. Today, we're diving into a conversation that every woman walking through midlife needs to hear, especially if you've been doing all the right things and still wondering why your body feels off. You know, in the wellness world, herbs get treated like magic pills. Shatavari for hormones, ashwagandha for stress, Vitex for balance. Everyone tells you to take them, and no one tells you how to take them, when to take them, or whether your body is even ready for them. And here's the truth most women never hear: these herbs can support you, or they can silently destabilize your system, worsen your symptoms, and even accelerate aging if taken at the wrong time. This is the herbal trap: doing all the right things, following advice that sounds good, and still wondering why your body feels overwhelmed, bloated, anxious, exhausted, or inflamed. It's not because you're failing. It's because no one ever taught you the energetics of healing. And today, we are breaking down the myths, the misunderstandings, and the misuse of the three most popular herbs women are told to take: Shatavari, Ashwagandha, and Vitex. You're going to learn when popular herbs like Ashwagandha, Shatavari, and Vitex heal, when they harm, and how to know when your body is, or what your body is truly asking for, and what actually creates balance, radiance, and ageless vitality from the inside out. Because you deserve the truth. You deserve clarity. And you deserve to feel like the most nourished, powerful, vibrant version of yourself. Not 5 years from now, but starting today. So take a deep breath, soften your body, and let's journey together beyond the fear and into the art of aging backwards.
No one taught you about Agni, which is your digestive fire, the foundation that determines whether a herb becomes medicine or becomes chaos inside your body. And in perimenopause, your system is incredibly sensitive. Your mind, your emotion, and your hormones are actively rewiring themselves. Your entire reality is being recreated from the inside out. Every thought, every feeling, every belief you hold carries a frequency. And that frequency shapes your physiology, including how your herbs behave. So the real question isn't which herbs should I take? The real question to ask yourself is my system prepared to receive this herb? Or am I feeding fire to imbalance? So today we are breaking down the myth, the misunderstanding, and the misuse of those three popular herbs that women are told to take, so you can use them with wisdom, precision, and power. So let's begin.
Okay, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about ashwagandha through the Ayurvedic lens: what it's known for, what it's good for, and how things can go wrong if you and this beautiful herb are not a match based on your constitution.
Thank you for this question. And before we even touch ashwagandha or even shatavari, we just need to understand an Ayurvedic truth that gets ignored in a Western wellness world. And here is an example. In Panchakarma, the first thing you do is not take nourishing herbs or rejuvenative, which ashwagandha and shatavari and vitex are. You don't start with restorative tonics. you start with agni, your digestive fire. And the very first phase sometimes lasts 2 full weeks and is entirely dedicated to strengthening this fire, this internal fire. So your system has the capacity to actually handle deeper nourishment later. So here your focus is on warming tea, light agni building formulation, and spices that actually stimulate and stabilize your digestion. You make here, like what you do is you make the flame strong, consistent, and reliable, because if you take heavier nourishing herbs before your fire is strong, your body simply cannot digest them. And Ayurvedic herbalism is the most advanced herbal tradition because it doesn't just look at the ingredient list, it looks at you, your constitution, your current state of imbalance, your digestive strength, and your readiness for deeper nourishment. And if your agni isn't strong, heavy herbs slow digestion even more and create lethargy, bloating, fatigue, gas, and congestion. So instead of healing, they actually create stagnation. And this principle is at the heart of everything we are talking about today. So now let's talk about ashwagandha, the herb that everyone has seen popping up in coffee shops, smoothies, social media ads, or even been marketed as a stress cure. And its name means the smell of a horse. But as Dr. Vasson beautifully described it, ashwagandha brings the strength of 1,000 horses. So when you think about it, it brings sturdiness, reliability, and stability to the system. And ashwagandha, it's an adaptogen. And it has particularly an affinity for all systems that nourishes the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the reproductive system, but more specifically for men. But it also can be used, for women too. And yet, despite of all of its power, it's so easy to misuse it. And here is what almost no one tells you about ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a root, and root must be cooked. Just like ginger becomes more medicinal when boiled, ashwagandha needs to be decocted before consuming it. Why? Because if you take raw ashwagandha powder, you actually are creating havoc to your digestive system, and no one tells you about it. So when you take your smoothie, when you go to a coffee shop, it's actually you having the raw powder that is actually not cooked. So you actually not helping your system, your digestive system. So here I want you to think about agni for a second. So think about agni as a fire. And ashwagandha is like a heavy, damp blanket placed on that fire. And if your fire is strong, it will burn through the blanket and use it as a material and as a fuel. But if your fire is weak, irregular, or slow, so for example, if you feel hungry all the time, you need to eat every hour, or you feel lethargic and heavy after a really small portion of your meal, here the blanket will smother your flame, and it will clog your channels, create stagnation, and can make you tired, foggy, and inflamed. Totally the opposite of what you actually want from ashwagandha. And here ashwagandha becomes toxic for the body when taken without a strong agni. And some people actually respond to it so well. It can be very relaxing and it helps them to sleep better, which is being promoted as like a sleep cure. But for others, like myself, ashwagandha makes me feel like so overly stimulated and restless at night. So here the takeaway that I want you to remember is that Ayurvedic herbalism is individualized, and one size fits all trends like trendy latte or powders that you see everywhere can be very misleading at best and harmful at worst. And if your acne isn't ready for it, restorative tonics like ashwagandha or shatavari can make your system worse, not better. So this is why we only use these herbs only when the digestive fire is strong and steady. This is the primary focus, the first thing that you have to do first. And we always make sure that we cook the roots to make it digestible and bioavailable. So now let's talk about ashwagandha, from a Western perspective. And yeah, tell us more about it, Natalie.
Okay, so from a Western herbal lens, ashwagandha is considered an adaptogen, which are herbs that help the body adapt to stress. Adaptogens don't force anything, they support regulation. They help restore balance in the body, nourish us through stress, and gently prevent burnout. So we love adaptogens.
We do.
Yes. And ashwagandha specifically works through the nervous system and the endocrine system, helping to regulate energy, mood, and resilience. And many adaptogens are known for being safe and broadly supportive, and ashwagandha is one of the most well loved. The part of the plant we use, as you stated, Sandra, is the root. And energetically, it's slightly warming and slightly moistening from the Western herbal perspective, which is why it can feel deeply nourishing for people experiencing exhaustion, anxiety, depression, or that drained, tired, but wired state. Ashwagandha has properties as a nervine, meaning that it helps to calm, support, and restore the nervous system rather than stimulate it. But as you said, Sandra, it can do the complete opposite for some people. So now a couple things to keep in mind. Ashwagandha is in the nightshade family. So if someone has a nightshade sensitivity, that's important to know. And while it's generally well tolerated, we do use more caution during pregnancy with this herb. And now shifting gears again from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, ashwagandha isn't a classical herb, but energetically it aligns with herbs that tonify kidney yang and kidney essence, which are deeply connected to vitality, libido, and our core energy reserves. It also gently strengthens qi and calms the shen, which is our spirit, helping us feel more grounded, rooted, and safe in our own body. Someone may benefit from ashwagandha if they experience coldness, adrenal exhaustion, low libido, anxiety, rumination, or difficulty sleeping after stress. Emotionally, it helps us back into the body. It helps bring us back. It's almost like a grounding hand on the nervous system saying, "You're safe here." And as always, this is for educational purposes only and not medical advice. So please do consult your herbalist or healthcare provider, especially if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, or taking medications. So now, Sandra, please, let's talk about Shatavari through the Ayurvedic lens, what it's known for, what it's good for, and how things can go wrong if you and this beautiful herb are not a match based on your constitution.
Thank you. So Shatavari is like the sister of Ashwagandha. We call her like this. She's the sister of Ashwagandha. And Shatavari is often seen in the same wellness spaces but it has a different soul. So Shatavari is known as like the woman with 100 husbands. And I love that translation from like the Sanskrit. And Shatavari has been treasured for centuries as a deeply nourishing reproductive tonic for women. So it has a specific affinity for the woman nervous system. And Shatavari is part of like the asparagus family. And like ashwagandha, it's a root, and it's the opposite. It's cooling, it's moistening, rejuvenative, and stabilizing. Shatavari is considered a rasayana, which is promoting anti-aging, longevity, and tissue nourishment. And that's why it's like particularly, like so good for like the woman reproductive system. It supports fertility, libido, lactation, menopausal transition, urinary health, digestive balance, immune function, stress resilience, and mental clarity. But here again, the key word here is support. It only works if your system is ready. Shatavari is nourishing and heavy, which means that if your acne is weak, digestion is irregular, or you are bloated, inflamed, or stressed, Shatavari will congest instead of nourish yourself. And women often take it hoping for hormone balance, only to feel actually like heavier, fatigued, emotionally overwhelmed, and more inflamed than they were, like previously. And here the principle is the same as with ashwagandha. Herbs do not automatically heal. Its magic is only unlocked when the system is ready to receive it. This is why timing, preparation, and awareness are essential. We cook roots like ashwagandha and shatavari. We avoid raw powders in trendy like drinks, and we only use them when the fire of digestion is strong enough and consistent. But when used correctly, shatavari is so profoundly rejuvenative. It's balancing for vata and pitta, which is very high, for women in midlife. So you are in those two transitions, in these two doshas. And it's supporting perimenopause transition, like I just said. It regulates dryness that you may feel, like as you move through midlife. It soothes the heat and replenish depleted tissue. But here again, if you misuse it, it can deepen your imbalances. It can create stagnation and more disease in the system. So, when do these herbs actually work? Like I just said, they work when your acne is strong, when the system is stable, your digestion is consistent, and your channels are clear, the nervous system isn't overloaded, and your prana, which is your life force, it's freely flowing. And when do they harm? They harm in condition of weak digestion, chronic stress, hormonal chaos, inflammation, irregular appetites, bloating, trauma-activated nervous system, or even emotional dysregulation. So the herbal trap is not the herbs themselves. It's actually timing, it's misuse, and lack of energetic understanding of those herbs. And when women are told to take the herbs their body aren't ready for, and when symptoms worsen, they actually blame themselves. So here is the truth that every woman really needs to hear. The question is never, which herb should I take? Never ask yourself this question. But the real question that you should always ask yourself is, can my system receive nourishment right now? And the herbs aren't the trap. The misuse, the timing, and the lack of energetic awareness are. And your body is not the problem. It's the messenger, showing you where your system needs support and telling you how to prepare to truly receive the medicine that will restore you, nourish you, and transform you from the inside out.
Beautifully stated, Sandra. And in Western herbalism, Shatavari is one of the most beloved female reproductive tonics across every major life stage: puberty, postpartum, perimenopause, and menopause. And the part of the plant we use is the root, and energetically, it's considered cooling and nourishing, making it especially supportive for women who are depleted, overheated, or experiencing dryness. From a Western perspective, Shatavari is known as both an adaptogen and a nutritive tonic. It's anti inflammatory, a demulcent, antibacterial, a gentle diuretic, and even a galactagogue, meaning it helps support healthy breast milk production postpartum. It's moistening to the tissues and deeply restorative to the reproductive system. This is why Western herbalists reach for it for things like low libido, vaginal dryness or irritation, menopausal symptoms, dysfunctional uterine bleeding, amenorrhea, dysmenorrhea, endometriosis, uterine prolapse, postpartum depletion, and overall hormonal imbalance. Shatavari also has a long history of use for digestive issues such as indigestion, stomach ulcers, and even certain liver conditions. And energetically, it also soothes nervous exhaustion. So, emotionally burnt out or depleted women often feel a sense of grounding and replenishment. And one thing I love about Shatavari is its gentle, feminine, softening nature.
Mm.
It nourishes estrogenic pathways without acting like a hormone replacement, which makes it such a supportive ally during perimenopause. And there's also beautiful folklore around this plant, right? And it's, as you stated, Sandra, that the name Shatavari translates to she who possesses 100 husbands, which speaks to its long history as a tonic for vitality, fertility, and feminine life force, which is so cool.
Mhm.
And again, as always, this is educational only, not medical advice. And if someone has estrogen sensitive conditions or a diagnosed medical condition, they should always check with a healthcare provider. But overall, Shatavari is a deeply common, deeply loved herb for nourishing the feminine system from the inside out.
Mm. We love Shatavari, don't we?
Yes.
The symbol of femininity. So now let's talk about our last herb. Let's talk about Vitex through like the Western lens perspective and what is known for, what is good for, and how things can go wrong if you use it, and if you are not actually a match with it based on like your constitution.
Okay, so Vitex, which is also known as chaste tree berry or sometimes monk's pepper, in Western herbalism, the part we use is the berry or the fruit. And energetically, Vitex is considered warming and drying. And Vitex is incredibly popular today because it's known to naturally support hormonal regulation, especially progesterone, without actually adding hormones to the body. So instead, it works with your endocrine system and gently invites balance. And women reach for Vitex, and it's become a go to herb in the Western world because so many women are struggling with hormonal disruptions: PMS, PMDD, irregular cycles, painful periods, fertility challenges, perimenopause transitions, and even postpartum hormonal shifts. And it's particularly sought after for things like low progesterone, short luteal phase, coming off of birth control, breast tenderness, spotting before your period, mood swings, and that overall sense that something in your cycle feels off. So, women are reaching for Vitex because it's seen as a natural alternative to things like birth control pills, synthetic progesterone, antidepressants for PMS, or hormonal replacement therapy. And let's get into how Vitex actually works. So, Vitex doesn't directly influence your ovaries the way synthetic hormones do. It primarily works through the pituitary gland, modeling, modulating FSH and LH, the hormonal messengers that help orchestrate ovulation and progesterone production. So rather than replacing hormones, Vitex is kind of like a gentle communicator. It nudges your own body to come back into its natural rhythm. And this is also why it takes time, usually 3 to 6 months, before women feel the full shifts. And why Vitex feels supportive for modern women? Well, we live in a world where stress is chronically high, birth control is overprescribed, estrogen dominance is common, progesterone deficiency is literally rampant, PMS and mood swings are just normalized, and perimenopause is showing up earlier and earlier. And Vitex gives women a sense of empowerment as a plant based option instead of jumping straight into the pharmaceuticals. And for many women, it really helps them feel like themselves again. But here's where things can go wrong. Vitex is warming and drying in nature. So if you're already running hot, or if you have dryness, night sweats, hot flashes, dry skin, dry constipation, vaginal dryness, or you have a constitution that is already overheated, Vitex can actually exacerbate those things. And Vitex tends to decrease androgens, which are male sex hormones that impact energy, libido, metabolism, and vitality. So that's great for certain situations, but it might not be ideal for someone whose androgen levels are already low. So constitution matters, and not every herb is a match for every woman. And some important cautions with Vitex is that it may reduce the effectiveness of birth control, and it's not recommended during pregnancy. Some research suggests it may lower sex drive in men, so generally, it's more supportive for women. And because Vitex works on your endocrine system, it can shift hormonal patterns. So, this is one of those herbs that's really important to approach with guidance. Every woman's hormonal landscape is unique. Your constitution, your history with birth control, your stress levels, perimenopause symptoms, and even your genetic tendencies. All of that influences how Vitex behaves in your body. So, if you're considering Vitex, I always recommend working with a clinical herbalist or qualified healthcare provider who understands not just the herb, but you. And Vitex can be a beautiful ally, but like all plants, it requires relationship, timing, and alignment with your constitution. When those pieces come together, it can be incredibly supportive during this transition.
Mm. And Vitex is often proclaimed as a miracle for hormonal balance, PMS, or even perimenopause. We've seen it everywhere. Um,
Mhm.
in supplement, online ads, and wellness blogs. Everyone is telling women, take this and your cycle will normalize. Have you heard that? Yes, I did. But just like ashwagandha and shatavari, Vitex is, like you said, is not a one size fits all solution. Its magic depends entirely on your system's readiness. Particularly, like I said so much, in this episode, the strength of your agni. And Vitex works primarily, like you just said, on your pituitary glands, which is the master hormone gland, which communicates with your ovaries, your adrenal glands, and your thyroid. And it
Mm.
helps regulate progesterone production. It supports your luteal phase length and balance overall the female reproductive hormone rhythm. And in Ayurveda, we look at it a little bit differently. We see how it affects the doshas, which are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and how it interacts with your tissues, your tissue layers, your energy, and your nervous system. And Vitex has like a subtle stabilizing and cooling effect on the system. It can gently balance your hormones, soothe the nervous system, and support women experiencing stress-related menstrual irregularities. But here is the catch. Vitex is subtle. It's like you said, is slow acting and is cumulative. So it's not a quick fix. So if your acne is weak, if your digestive fire is irregular, and if you are bloated, lethargic, constantly hungry, or crashing after a small meal, Vitex can actually make things worse for you. And instead of supporting your hormone, it can slow down your metabolism, create feeling of heaviness, and like you said, exacerbates, hormonal imbalances because your body simply cannot process and integrate the medicine. So yes, Vitex is powerful when your system is ready for it. When acne is strong, digestion is consistent, and your channels are fully open. And in that state, it helps to restore natural hormonal rhythms, reduce your PMS symptoms, support your fertility, and can even improve your energy and your mood. But if you take it too early or without understanding your own body constitution, Vitex can become another wellness trap, a supplement that promises balance but actually lands more as a stagnation and frustration for you. So here, the takeaway with Vitex, like I shared with Ashwagandha and Shatavari, is this. It's not about taking the herb because it's popular. It's about preparing your system first. Strengthen your acne, build stability in your digestion, and only then introduce restorative herbs and tonics. That's when Vitex and all the Ayurvedic herbs reveal their true power. Subtle, supportive, and transformative, and deeply aligned with your body's natural rhythm. So now what we need to talk really like about the importance to build a relationship with the plants, with the herbs. And let me ask you this question, Natalie. Why is it so important to actually build a relationship with the plant or with the herb that we want to take in to actually support us during perimenopause?
So, when we talk about herbal support in perimenopause, I want to invite you into a deeper lens because this isn't simply about take this herb for that symptom. Perimenopause is a physical transition, yes, but it is also emotional, it's spiritual, and deeply energetic. The nervous system is reorganizing, hormones are renegotiating, and your sense of identity is evolving. Herbs meet us inside that transformation, not just on a biochemical level, but in relationship. And when you approach a plant as a living ally instead of a product, something changes. The body softens. Your system begins to receive instead of push. And receiving, for most women in midlife, is actually the deepest medicine. Herbs don't force the body into balance, they teach the body how to reclaim balance. They teach nourishment, steadiness, and regulation. But when they do this but they actually do this through connection, okay? And that's really important to remember. It's connection, not urgency. This is why intention matters. Your emotional state, your breath, the presence you bring to the moment when you're taking this herb. All of that shapes how your body responds and how you internalize that as medicine. Think of it like food. Eating when you're rushed feels different than eating when you're grounded. Herbs are the same. And I always remind women that herbalism is ancestral. Our grandmothers and great grandmothers didn't take plants transactionally, they worked with them, they listened to them, they thanked them. Building relationship is a way of remembering that we are supported, that we don't have to do this alone. We really don't. And that healing responds to connection. So, as you work with any herb in perimenopause, we recommend slowing down. Smell it, taste it, sit with the herb. Notice how your body feels before and after taking it. Let it become a relationship, not a routine. Because the more intimacy you build with the plant, the more intimacy you rebuild with yourself. And that is really where the transformation lives.
So powerful. Building a relationship with the herb is the most powerful thing that you can do for yourself. And this brings us to the bigger picture. What actually creates balance, radiance, and ageless vitality from the inside out. It's not just taking a supplement or drinking a smoothie. It's actually feeding your Agni. Making sure your digestive fire is burning bright before you introduce any medicine. Especially heavier, restorative, rejuvenating tonic like Ashwagandha, Shatavari, or Vitex. And when your fire is strong, these herbs don't weight you down. They actually nourish every single cell, every tissue layer, and every system in the body. And they become medicine rather than clutter. So the real question becomes, how do I strengthen my Agni? How do I create a digestive fire that can truly metabolize nourishment, clear stagnation, and fuel radiance from the inside out? And this is exactly what you would explore in a Nourish and Revitalize Women group program with us, where Agni is at the centerpiece of your healing, where you build relationship with your Agni, where you build relationship with your food, with your rituals, with the plants. It's about learning practical ways to stoke your fire through the food, lifestyle, routine, and gentle rituals. So when you take herbs, they become here a true partner in your transformation, supporting you in bringing back balance in your hormones, your energy, and deepen your vitality instead of just another thing that you have to add on your plate. And if you are done feeling tired, bloated, or at the mercy of hormonal chaos and you tried everything, and if you are ready to reclaim your body, your energy, and your radiance, this is your call to step in and to join us into the Nourish and Revitalize Women program. Because here you will be awakening your digesting fire and you will be transforming your body from the inside out. And here we only have few spots. Spots are really limited, and it's an intimate container. And trust me, your Agni won't wait. You don't want to wait another year and have your symptom worsen. So if you're ready to claim your place now and ignite your vitality that's been waiting for you, just message us.
So, if you're ready to defy the rules, embody your radiance, and become more alive with every year, hit follow, like, leave us a review, and subscribe to The Art of Aging Backwards, wherever you listen to podcasts. Join us inside the Art of Aging Backwards community, where the magic unfolds and transformation happens in real time. Because aging backwards isn't a fantasy, it's your birthright. And we are here to show you how. See you next week for the Wild Voice Activation, all about how to activate your inner glow so you glow up and people can ask you, what the fuck are you doing this winter season? Thank you for tuning in and see you next time.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.